I am Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. She's offering her memoir. Of course, her memoir, I Drunk from the Nile, no other than Miss Katia Damko.
Hi, Daniel. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Welcome to Book 101, Miss Katia, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Katya Dunko. That's my pen name, but it is my first name. This last name's different. I was born in Ukraine, in Kiev, Ukraine, and then I moved to the United States at the age of 8. I grew up in Alaska.
Yes.
Very cold. Currently, I live in Reno. I studied psychology and biology. I've traveled to 33 countries. I ran a few businesses. I'm married. I have a daughter and 2 cats. And I love to write, cook, and host parties.
So, Miss Katia, what does the title A Drunk from the Nile symbolize about your journey?
So, the title, "A Drink from the Nile," in Egypt, they have a saying that once you drink from the Nile, you will come back. And that did happen to me. I first visited Cairo as a tourist in 2012. And in 2014, I took a very unconventional decision to move to the heart of the Arab world, Cairo, Egypt. And that's basically where I start my memoir, which spans 4 years in 4 countries. So after Egypt, I lived in Portugal, in Ukraine, and then the US.
So, in what ways does the natural environment shape the narrative of your memoir?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
In what ways does the natural environment shape the narrative of your memoir?
The narrative of my memoir. Um, so it's a transformational journey. Just finding kind of my self worth through just an unconventional way. I did fight, I thought of finding self worth in foreign lands, in toxic relationships that I talk about, and in my battle with hidden opioid addiction, painkiller addiction. So, how the Nile shapes that, it carves a path inside the desert, and it gives life. And for me, finding that sense of home and self worth is really what my book is about. And the Nile, even though it provides life, it's in the middle of the desert, and it's something that was needed for life. So I guess that's how it would.
So, how does your memoir demonstrate resilience?
It demonstrates resilience when you have nothing left. So, my story ends, you know, tragically and with a lot of hope. So, I was in a, married and lived in Cairo. The relationship, my marriage was not going very well, and it left me with no choice but to kidnap my daughter out of Egypt without her father's know-how. So I've been into a lot of situations throughout my life, and just kind of finding that strength within me to write. And it's actually when I got away from escaped Egypt with my daughter, and I came back to the United States with her. She was 10 months old, and I sat with this feeling inside of me. And I when people ask me, like, why did you write, it's this feeling of like, how did I where did I find the strength to keep going and get up and try again. And I harness that in my writing, and I want to inspire people to lean into struggles, see them as lessons. And how I quote it is that a warrior is only born in battle. So all through all of your hardships, you will find resiliency. That's how resiliency is bred.
So, what internal or external resources did you draw upon to overcome obstacles?
um, Faith, definitely faith. My love for life, even though there were times where thought about giving up. Um, I always thought to myself, that this life could be better than this. There are different realities that I can create. So faith, finding, the strength within myself where, since this is a transformational journey, I always thought I was flawed because I wasn't given the right cards or I didn't grow up with the right parents. And I've had this pain that I held on to through most of my life. And I use that pain as an excuse to create all these issues and seek out bad relationships. But it was actually, there, like I said, there were the lessons that I learned, and resiliency, also, so faith, within myself. And as far as writing the book, I loved writing. I haven't, this would be my first book I wrote, but I wrote, essays and um, little projects that I did. But finding the resources to write the book, I had coaches, well-published authors that were my writing coaches and editors, and therapists too, really, because before I sat down to write it, you can't, because there's a lot of pain that I had to relive. It took me 6 years to really put it all together and read and write it without feeling the pain that was in there.
So, Miss Katya, how does your memoir story inspire readers to face their own struggles with courage?
It inspires. Well, the line that I love to use is that life puts you through hardships to test test your strength and your faith when whatever it is. Don't talk too much. It's not religious heavy, but whatever you believe in, the universe, just an outside force. So if you lean into that, finding courage, definitely will, push the boundaries of what's meant for you. Believe that this is not a life sentence. This is just a lesson. And when you are at the rock bottom, the only way is up. When you have lost everything, you have to realize, like, okay, I can't lose anything more. The only way is up. And just understanding that, finding that courage to get up and go, and that you're on this earth for a purpose. I try to really convey that into every lesson that I go through. And I hope the reader sees that and feels that within themselves, that we're meant to survive. We have a purpose, and I hope they find inspiration to find theirs too.
So, how does your memoir portray the challenges of living in or near the Nile region?
So that was the first time in my life that I felt like a minority.
Mm.
I am an expat there. I was teaching English. I'm white, blonde. I'm not veiled. Um, it was hard, even walking the streets, because of Egypt is known for a lot of harassment and catcalls. Um, Living next to the Nile, it's a hectic city. It's a third world country. There are different rules. People think that because you're a foreigner, you're available for whatever. There's a lot of misconceptions about white, females in Egypt that are living alone, that they might be in, the sex industry or things like that. So it was hard for me to trust people.
Yes.
Yeah, trusting, but at the same time, the reason I loved the Middle Eastern culture is their tight knit family unit, and they have a lot of history and a lot of culture, and it's all centered family. And I think that's what I was craving, because I didn't get that growing up. So I think that's what I craved going into this country, is to kind of find myself in amongst the people there. What else? Well, navigating language, of course. But actually, interesting thing about Cairo is, there's a lot of people that speak English, um, and the world there is still like a caste system. There's 70% of the population lives below $1 a day, but the rest of the 30, most of the young adults there went to English speaking schools, English speaking universities. So that was that was good. But dealing with landlords and things like that, yeah, you had to know the language, and just dealing with men there in general
Yes,
is very hard. Yeah.
definitely. So, how does your memoir, Connection to a Family, influence their journey?
I found family within myself. I leaned. I kept searching for because of my bad wiring. I didn't come from a very privileged, loving childhood. That I always um, thought that love to me was conditional. I had to do certain things. I had to please people, and um, instead of finding that worth within myself. So I found connection and family. Like I said, when I took my daughter out of Egypt and the whole escape, and it's very detailed in how I got away. Um, I realized, motherhood came into a big, into my equation where it just transformed me. And I knew that if I were to take all this pain that was given to me through my mother and my experiences and pass it on to my daughter, her life would be bad. And I didn't want that. So breaking that generational pain, embracing that I am the start of my family. It doesn't matter where I came from. It matters what I make. Um, Something that, just kind of hit me hit me like a train, and is what made me take my daughter out of those suppressing situations. And I wanted a better life for her, and came to the States with her.
Very well said, Miss Katia. Very well said. And what would be your advice for those aspiring writers out there that they want to write their own memoir or autobiography?
Yeah. So what helped me, and I've read memoirs, and you can get into this rut of this happened, and and this happened, and it's kind of a linear format, and it gets very boring. So what I did was I watched movies that were based on memoirs. I watched Wild, was the one I really studied. And I read the book, I watched the movie, and then I noticed what scenes they'd pick. So how I wanted and how I drafted my book, they're in scenes. It's kind of like, I'm not going to just chronologically take you through everything, even though it does follow a 4-year timeline. Um, I wrote in sections. Even if I couldn't write about this part, I would write, the ending. I would write the middle. I would get it all out in whatever way it is, because, just you might forget things. So just get it all out, and then you can come back and refine it. I've edited my book probably 20 times. Um, the book that helped me, it's called Save the Cat, and that kind of can organize your memoir into these scenes and the themes and things like that. Because memoirs, they don't have a tidy plot. There's no, here's the arc, here's the setting, here's the plot, how it's going to go. Real life does not have a tidy plot. So that was so hard for me to grasp. But Save the Cat really helped me. Watching and reading movies and how they chose to put a memoir and visualize it, that really helped me. And just write, get it out, whatever, mistakes, everything in there, and then go back and edit it. So
Yes, yes, yes. Save the cat, people. So,
yeah.
what are your short term and long term goals in writing?
Short term, well, maybe it is going to be a long term. I would love to get traditionally published, and that's what I'm currently doing. Seeking out agents and querying. If that doesn't work, I'm still going to put my book out there and self-publish. Long-term goals, I've thought about writing a romance novel. because I have some good experiences, just like a twisted, mystery romance novel down the road.
Down the road, people, and good luck for your
Thanks.
goals,
Thank you.
Miss Katia. And how does your memoir explore the themes of hope and perseverance?
Hope and perseverance. So hope is something to me that it's a feeling that you have to nurture, and once it can come in unexpected ways. You can find it in very unexpected ways. And um, I remember sitting on the bathroom floor, realize, what am I going to do with my life? With my daughter, or how we're going to live. And I had this little spark in me, and I just called, I had to embrace it and just water it. And even though fear was driving me, if I were to get caught, what I was doing would have been, severe consequences for me. But it's weighing out. Don't let fear control that. Hope is, universe's way of telling you you can do it, and just focus on what's ahead.
Definitely. Concentrate. And so, Miss Katia,
Yeah.
to sum up our episode for today, what message does your memoir leave for readers about the power of human spirit in the face of adversity?
The power of human spirit. I think when life has gotten you down, and when there's so many adversities happening, and my advice is, and what I list, just put your hand on your heart. You feel it beating. You still have a purpose. There is still a way forward. And my memoir is for people who are struggling to find their voice, their worth, or their place in this world, and just reclaiming the power to rewrite your life. Don't give up is what I say, and I'll give you 19 chapters of of examples of where I don't know how I got out of these situations, but I just kept going. And there's a light at the end of every tunnel, and just dig deep, put your head down, and believe that there's more for you. Life doesn't have to be what your lessons are, what your upbringing is, what somebody did to you, what mistakes you made. Forgiveness is powerful. Forgive yourself for being weak. Take that in, and make something better.
Yes, don't give up, people. Try and try until you succeed.
Yes.
And Miss Katia Dunko, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
sharing your memoir to the world.
Thank you,
And
Daniel.
looking forward for more books to come. So can you please invite our listeners to support your memoir?
Yes, please visit my website. It's katyadunko.com. You can join my wait list. I will send newsletters for updates of where I'm at with the publishing process. You can find me on TikTok, and I posted my whole story there. It is for a mature audience, so be aware of that. And you can find me on Instagram too. Looking forward to releasing my story to the world. Thank you so much, Danielle. This has been my first podcast, so I hope I did good.
You did excellent, Miss Katia. Yay, 100%. And
Thank you.
again, I'm inviting you to come by if you have a book to promote because Book 101 Review is created for you.
Awesome.
So, again, people, let's support Miss Katia Dunko because if you support her, as I said, more memoir or books to come. So, Miss Katia, thank you for your time.
You too as well. Bye, Daniel.
More to come, people. See you soon. Bye, Miss Katia.
Bye-bye.